Hi everybody, this is Miss Johnson. This video is going to be dedicated to chapter 1 in your textbook. I'm going to try to create sort of a short video for each chapter. It's optional for you to listen to it. I do suggest it though. So in this particular chapter, you can get to this lesson by clicking the lessons link on the navigational panel. And then lesson 1, the first chapter is called Errors, Errors, Errors. There is two graded items. One is a discussion and one is a test. The discussion is just kind of fun. It has you doing a little bit of an exercise to try to find something in the public, whether it's in a newspaper, you could scan it in, or you can find it on the internet. In this case, the example is here. Look how this has been worded. Diana was still alive hours before she died. Well, duh. Are we not all alive before we die? So it's sort of just a silly, a silly headline, something that you catch to think, well, they should have maybe given that a little more thought. If you ever watch Dave Letterman a long time ago, he used to have a little segment sometimes on his late night show showing different things that had been posted in newspapers or phone books or something. And words, words matter. I lived in California when I was a kid, and there was a lawsuit that took place. A local travel agency, and I'm not sure, it was either in Sacramento or Fresno, one of those cities. They were really angry because they had a business and they were listed in the phone book under exotic, EXOTIC, exotic travel. That was their name. And so people would call and make reservations and such. Well, I'm not sure if it was on purpose or if it just happened on accident, but one year their listing for their travel agency was misspelled. It had one letter off. Instead of EX, it was EROTIC, travel. Erotic travel. It turned out that back then everybody used the phone book, and phone books were printed for a year at a time. So once it was printed and distributed, there was no kind of calling it back. So everybody who had the phone book had that listing for an entire year. So for an entire year, this travel agency, who had prior been known as Exotic Travel, now had their name in the phone book as Erotic Travel. And they complained that the types of customers who were calling in were of a completely different sort than what they were accustomed to, and it was quite the nuisance for an entire year for them. So they sued the phone book company and actually got a settlement. So that's how important words are sometimes. So be careful. This is what proofreading and editing is all about. Whoever proofread that posting for that particular listing for the travel agency obviously didn't do a great job, because that is a mistake that should have never gotten past the proofreader's eyes. And then we have a test at the end of the chapter. But I'm going to go over real quickly, go over the PowerPoint for this particular chapter 1. I'm not going to go over every slide, but we'll go over a few pieces of it. Proofreading is all about making sure that documents are error-free. Error-free documents create great impressions. It gives one business a favorable impression of you or another business. And so it's extremely important that the documents be free of spelling, grammar, punctuation errors. Customers all expect that things are going to be in order, that the information that they receive from you as a business is going to be accurate. Proofreading is a process. It's a process of reading, It's a process of typing. It's a process of making sure that printed material is error-free before it gets published to an audience. And sometimes a company has a person or a team responsible for doing this. Sometimes everyone is just supposed to proofread their own work, and there's not anyone specific in the company assigned to the task, but everyone is held accountable for what they put out. Proofreading is essential, and there are several ways that you can proofread. We don't really use the proofreader symbols too much anymore because everyone's kind of working online now, but there are a list of proofreading symbols that all have a meaning, and if someone is actually hand marking a document that you have submitted, you may have seen this in previous English classes where the teachers are using symbols to tell you what's wrong with something. So those symbols are meant to highlight errors and also let you know how to correct those errors. Proofreading obviously requires that you are literate, that you understand how to read and you understand the content of what you're reading. Proofreading requires that you have the patience to truly go over a document and look for the smallest errors, missing commas or extra commas, semicolon that's incorrect that needs to be replaced with a comma or vice versa. Spell check is a good tool, but it is not complete, nor is it always right. So it's really important, as you know, and probably have been caught in this error many times. There is TO, TOO, TWO. All three of these words are the word to. They all three mean something different. And if you have this word, TO, TOO, or TWO, any one of these words in a sentence, spell check is not going to flag it and say that it's wrong, even if it is, because it's a word, it recognizes it, and it just lets it slip through. You as a proofreader have to be patient and have to be thorough to understand when you have typed the wrong version of the word to. Just an example, there are many, many other words in the English language that are just like that. C is another one. C, C, and C. You must develop an attitude that proofreading is vitally important and that you just don't want to be on the wrong side of an error, right? All right, people are hired. Sometimes people are hired as proofreaders for a company. Lots of companies don't invest in actual professional proofreaders anymore. But if they do, then they usually have the title proofreader or editor. Good proofreaders are effective because they are patient and they pay attention to even the smallest details. They take the time that's necessary to go through a document to ensure accuracy. They are practiced to look at and locate common errors pretty quickly. They use a variety of methods, and we'll talk about those in a moment. They are pretty good spellers. Even the best spellers have some troublesome words that they trip over, but as a rule, they're pretty good spellers, and that gives them a bit of a leg up with proofreading. They know and apply the rules of grammar, and they use appropriate reference material. Like, honest to goodness, if you don't have the patience to open your dictionary or use a thesaurus, then this is not work that's cut out for you. You're not cut out for this work. You need to move on to something else. Let's look at this quiz. Which of the following statements is correct? A. Spell checking usually finds all errors. Good proofreaders are good spellers. Only assistants need to know proofreader marks. Proofreaders can assume grammar is always correct. Well, Which of these do you think is correct? Spell checking usually finds all errors. I say that is not correct. Good proofreaders are good spellers. I think we just read that. Only assistants need to know proofreader remarks. No, everybody needs to know. Proofreaders can assume grammar is always correct. Absolutely not. So I'm going to click this. So this is correct. Proofreaders are good spellers. Mechanical errors can be recognized when looking at material. The reason we're saying mechanical errors is because there's more than one kind of error that we're going to be looking at. So mechanical errors would be things like transposing letters or transposing words. So instead of saying TWO for the word to, you might say TOW. It would spell the word toe. It would be a typo, but the nature of the error would be transposition. You transposed two letters. Capitalization, spacing, punctuation, and spelling errors. These are all considered mechanical errors. When proofreading for these mechanical errors, make sure that you're being patient. Again, I can't say the word patient too many times. Slow down. Read every word, letter by letter, word by word, line by line. Pronounce each word as you read by saying it out loud to yourself or even out loud to yourself in your head or where you can hear it. It helps to find errors. So we know what mechanical errors are. Let's talk about content errors. Content errors are basically that we've written the wrong information. Not that we didn't capitalize something or that we didn't put a period somewhere, but that we actually have false information on the page. Content errors usually have to do with putting in dates the wrong way, or we put the wrong numbers in, or we use the wrong name, or other essential details or facts which make what we have published inaccurate, right? When proofreading for content errors, read slowly. Think about what you have written. It's really easy to put the wrong name in a document. You could say that Professor Jones, quote that Professor Jones said so-and-so because you were thinking about Professor Jones when you wrote it, but really it was Professor Weeks. So you might not catch that kind of an error unless you're in the right frame of mind. So you need to really think thoroughly, slowly, and be open-minded so that you can catch errors. Read complete sentences and concentrate on the meaning of what you have written. Which of the following are considered mechanical errors? Give me the pencil. So that's a misspelling. Columbus made his first voyage in 1066. I'm thinking he must have been really old in 1492. So that can't be right. The four primary colors are red, blue, and green. Well, that has to not be right since there's only 3 of them listed there. And there are only 3 primary colors, just FYI. The meeting is in Tempe, Arizona. Well, Tempe is the name of a city. So which of these would be considered mechanical? A misspelling would be mechanical. A wrong number or date would be content. Wrong number of primary colors would be content. And the meeting is in Tempe, Arizona, is capitalization, that would be mechanical. So which are mechanical? We're going to say mechanical are A and C. Let's see if we're right. Back up. B and C. Mechanical are B and C. I think this is not right. Let's go backwards and see if we can figure that out. Content errors are errors of information, so that would be a date. That's a content error. Mechanical would be spelling, and capitalization. So I think that this PowerPoint is wrong. Look at that. Somebody didn't proofread their PowerPoint. Because this is content and this is mechanical. Okay, sources of help in proofreading. So we want to look at things like files that we've been given, price lists, sales receipts, vouchers, checkbook records, purchase orders, invoices. These are all things that we can refer back to make sure that our content is correct. Available references like an atlas or a calendar or a dictionary, reference manual, typically can help us with mechanical errors. Methods of proofreading. There are 3 types. 1 is a comparative proof meeting. 2 is on-screen, and 3 is team. So for comparative, we're looking at placing the document next to the original document and seeing if we are matching, if there's any differences. We use this method when proofreading like statistical or technical information just to make sure all of our numbers are right. On-screen method is basically when you have something on a computer and you're able to kind of go through and use the computer to help you identify different errors. You're going to move your cursor up and down, pronounce words, check for words that you might have omitted, or maybe there's 2 words. Like a lot of times if you read a sentence, sometimes people will have written the word the twice. He's going to the store. It's just an error, but it's a duplicate word and we need to get it out of the paper. Check for proper hyphenation, and use the spell checker. The team method, I think, is a really good method. This is looking at a new set of eyes looking at the document. So it's 2 people. You're counting not just on yourself, but a second person to help you. This method is very effective, both for content errors and for mechanical errors. Which method would you use to proof? For a business letter, for a printed brochure, or a list of customer names? I'm not sure. Let's just think. For the comparative message, we'd probably do a list of customer names. Whoops. Well, it's not. Oh, let's click the. It's not going to give us the answers. So I would say for comparison would be the list of names. A printed brochure, I would say use a team method. And for a business letter, I would use on-screen. And then that sort of ends this particular lesson. This is what Chapter 1 is all about. Good luck on the test, and I'll see you for Chapter 2.